First, you will need a DPMS car stock wrench. You will need a DPMS multi-tool, and of course, the AP4A stock. Before you begin, be sure to put on your safety glasses. After you've put the rifle in some fixture, we are using a DPMS flipper mounted in a vise. You need to remove the upper receiver from the lower receiver by pushing the rear takedown pin and the front pivot pin located here until they reach their stops, and lift the upper receiver off of the lower. You may now use the multi-tool to remove the stock screw located in the 12 o'clock position on the buttstock, unscrewing it counterclockwise until the stock is free. Be advised that on the right side of the lower receiver, underneath the A2 stock, is a detent and spring which hold the rear takedown pin in place. Also, there's a stock spacer located inside the stock body itself. Once you remove the A2 stock screw and stock, use either the DPMS car stock wrench or the multi-tool to loosen the lower receiver extension. After removing the buffer and the buffer spring. The A2 buffer and buffer spring are different dimensionally than the car stock buffer and buffer spring. Before unscrewing the lower receiver extension completely, there is a buffer detent and spring located in the 6 o'clock position here in the lower receiver, and gently unscrew the lower receiver extension counterclockwise. Once you have removed the lower receiver extension, you may begin to install the AP4 car buttstock. Remove the spring and the buffer. You may now remove the stock body itself from the lower receiver extension by pulling down on the stock latch. This part may now be installed into the lower. It is comprised of the lower receiver extension itself, a castle nut, and a latch plate. Thread the lower receiver extension on clockwise with the latch plate and castle nut located rearward on the threaded portion. The buffer retainer located here must now be depressed below the plane of the lower receiver extension as you continue to thread the lower receiver extension into the lower. When the lower receiver extension meets the buffer retainer, to depress the buffer retainer below the plane until it correctly indexes in the half moon cut in the lower receiver extension. Once it is seated, thread the castle nut forward until it is finger tight against the latch plate. At this point in time, you will need the DPMS car stock wrench. It's required to engage the surfaces of the castle nut 1/4 turn approximately until the castle nut is now snug against the latch plate. By pulling down on the stock latch, the stock body may be reinstalled. All that remains is to insert your car buffer spring and car buffer body into the lower receiver extension. The installation is now complete.